Hello and welcome to the Prepare to Compete podcast, where we provide information on VA disability benefits, real estate, and more. Kenneth Davis, what's going on with you today, my brother?
Man, blessing, highly favored, blessing, highly favored. Just ready to go into the new year, positive and hitting these goals, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, yeah, doing well here in Vegas, man. It's definitely not heating up this winter. It cooled all the way down, just like the housing market, and we'll be discussing that part of our show. But
Hmm.
what we want to do here today, and what we want to start doing in a lot of our shows going forward, is to really start giving people practical information, right? Because you have a lot of people doing podcasts and different things, and you're talking about a lot of information. But what we really want people to do is have tangible takeaways with our information that we're presenting here today. So, what we're going to do is that we're going to take a couple questions that people have regarding VA disability benefits and do the same for the veteran real estate space to hopefully provide some clarity to a lot of those different topics.
Perfect. Yeah, man. I would love to. I would love to answer any type of questions, man. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about educating the community. Not only educating the community, but providing them a service that obviously is unmatched, and then two, the best experience that we can.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, definitely. So, I mean, prepare to compete, man. We definitely want to start the year off right, focusing on the veterans and
Hmm.
with that veteran disability space, man. So, is anything new going on with that space for 2023?
Man, I'm excited that you asked that, man. Listen, it's a lot of different opportunities out there currently right now. Last year, as we closed out last year, there were some different law changes, different shapes in how the disability space works, such as the Pact Act. That was one huge one. Also, the cost of living adjustment. That was pretty large in itself. The largest over 40 years. So ultimately, there were some different changes that came about, which again, I think it's going to be great to discuss here.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So yeah, definitely. We definitely want to get into that and just talking about some of those different changes
Mhm.
and what's going on. So now I'm hearing a lot of talk about the Pact Act. Okay, so I mean I heard a lot of different things about it. It seems like you can read hundreds of pages of information, man. And can you kind of summarize for our veterans here today what they need to be on the lookout for in regards to the Pact Act?
Will do. This law in particular, it was signed by the Biden administration that came into law August 10th, 2022. So this legislation that was provided, it actually expanded. It was one of the most expansive, laws that came about over 30 years. It deals with expanding again VA hospital services, disability services, expanding dates and times of presumptive locations, which again we'll get into a detail. But this ultimately was a huge shift in how veterans have the availability to claim certain conditions if you was in a certain place, time, and had a certain circumstance happen to you, based on in presumptive nature. But that does not exclude you in regards to healthcare as well.
Absolutely. No, that's great. That's great. So, because at first, I guess with those conditions, they were seeing a lot of people coming from those different areas, right? That were
Mhm.
deployed in different places, have a lot of similar claims. So, I guess what they're doing now is just kind of regulating and saying, hey, if you served here during a certain time period, you'll have pretty much like an automatic approval.
Uh, yes and no. So basically, what it is, it's basically what it is. It's a act that was put in place to said if you, like you said, if you're at a certain time in a certain area, you're able to receive service connection. And what we ultimately mean by service connection is that you have an injury or disease or any type of medical ailment transpired in service. And at this point, it is now service connected and service related. So you're able to receive either compensation or acknowledgement of service connection and have a non compensable rating. Okay, so this in particular puts you in position to be able to claim these 23 conditions or more, and these conditions, if you're in that certain time. place, and area. And if you have that diagnosis, you're able to be service connected.
Oh,
So, but it's automatic service connection. However, it's obviously it's just not that simple, you know, as we would think. But we're going to navigate those waters for you.
absolutely. That's great. That's great. Yeah, again, because with Veterans for Veterans, I know you're definitely doing wonderful things, helping veterans get service connected so they could
Mm-hmm.
absolutely reach out to you individually. So, now what are one of the, I guess, more popular conditions or areas that have been affected that veterans could benefit from now that the PACT Act has been enacted?
Oh wow, I'm glad you asked that question. One particular issue I think a lot of people have issues with is certain respiratory conditions, right? Asthma, rhinitis, sinusitis, and even some type of and sometimes respiratory cancers on the higher end of the severity spectrum, right? But those conditions, let's say you could particularly been in having an issue where you were, had duty, burning trash or something of that nature while in service, or anything could have been about any of your military duties, and you were exposed to that, where you could have been in Afghanistan, Bahrain, Djibouti, Africa, Cambodia, a lot of different places, and now you have those conditions. So by being able to breathe in those particulates and toxins, obviously we can know that could be a possibility of the onset. But again, the determinant factor would be the place, time, circumstance, and diagnosis.
No, Kenneth, man, that was some great information about the PAC Act. And that's really why people need to really just kind of stay in tune with doing their research and really plugging into companies like Veterans for Veterans, right? And if you're
Yeah.
here, you should be plugging in the Veterans for Veterans, man. So can you let them know a little bit about your services and how they can get a hold of you to get some more information about seeing if they actually qualify for some of those new conditions under the PAC Act?
Oh yeah, most definitely. So one, you can actually reach out. You can reach out, request a consultation through our website at vetsforvetsconsulting.com, where we'll be able to reach out to you just to go ahead and set up an initial consultation, see how we can be able to serve you or better serve you in any type of direction. Or you can ultimately send us an email at info@vetsforvetsconsulting.com as well, requesting any type of information. We would love to make sure that we provide you the information that you deserve.
Absolutely, absolutely. Website and also the Instagram page is linked below. And you can actually see that at the bottom of the page here. So definitely get in contact with Veterans for Veterans, man. Get all your questions answered. Free consultation, no hassle. We're here to help and serve you.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Yes, sir.
Prepare to Compete podcast. We're back live in effect with Kenneth Davis, man, talking about these veteran benefits for 2023. Now, I really want to get into the different details of any particular changes that you might want to alert veterans about for 2023. Now, one that I know is that a lot of people is going to be getting some more money, right? Because I hear that they doing a benefit increase, man. So tell us a little bit more about how that came about and what that would mean for our veterans and their families.
Oh, awesome. So, great question. So, particularly what it is, it's a transition, right? Every year there's a cost of living adjustment that is applied to the veterans benefit, but not only the veterans benefit, you also have military benefits. I'm sorry, military pay, social security, just a governmental benefit. Typically, they're increasing the cost of living. So this cost of living adjustment was a pretty large one, right? It was a pretty substantial increase by 8.7%. But it wasn't to the point of being it was 8.7% because obviously inflation was kind of kicking our butts. So based on the Department of Treasury, they utilized the CPI, the Consumer Pricing Index, and they came up with the percentage of 8.7 to go ahead and increase that cost of living adjustment. Now, that cost of living adjustment that was applied should have started January 1st, 2023. All right. If you have not received that, I recommend you going back to the VA, give them a call, see what's going on. But that 8.7% increase, so basically for every $1,000 that you receive, you will automatically think $87 should be applied to that. Okay, so that would should be your increase. With that being said, obviously we can go ahead and look at the charts, okay, that we can go ahead and utilize and bring up to go ahead and show you what you can actually, well, what you should be receiving. Okay.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And I think that's really important to understand too, because I know we have veterans that might be at like 50% or even some are even at 100%. And the way the charts work, and we actually broke that down on another video. Here's the link right up here. And you can go ahead and check that out. But we want to know that based on the chart, I know you get extra pay for like each dependent and different allocation for taking care of your if you're married and
Yeah.
different supplements for that. So it for the child benefit now, did that particular amount go up 8.7%, or how does that actually work?
So how it works is this. So you're correct. So there's always supplemental benefits on top of the percentage that you receive, right? So say for instance, if you add a child or a dependent, you're actually be able to receive compensation for your dependent. If you're adding your spouse, you're able to receive compensation for your spouse. But not only that, what is also applied is such things as special monthly compensation, right? Special monthly compensation, this in particular, it is a special monthly compensation that is applied due to auxiliary elements that they've decided upon, which again, we can go ahead and get into what is special monthly compensation and how you can receive that in a later video. But with that being said, it's going to be based on the total amount that you are receiving. So whatever the total amount that you're receiving, and again, that total amount could be whatever number, that's going to be at an 8.7% increase.
Got it, got it. So let's say I'm at a 30-40% or whatever, and my
Yeah.
base rate is $800, and then I have a couple dependents, and now I get $1,000 total. So it'll be 8.7% of the $1,000, not 8.7% of 800, and then 8.7% of the 200, and that sort of thing. They'll just take the entire allocation and then 8.7% on that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's exactly how it works. So as long as you're applying that to again any coinciding percentage that you have, or applying that to directly what you receive and that you were receiving in the previous year, as long as you see that 8% increase, you're good to go. But if you're not, I would recommend giving the VA a call to see what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah. Kenneth, man, that's some great information about the increase in benefits and how that really helps our veterans. And I know we talked a little bit about being able to receive additional funds for dependents. Now, I want to really get into that and delve into that a bit more on what actually constitutes as a dependent. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you could claim your children on there, but some people take care of their parents and even buy whole different houses with casitas to do so. Now, can they actually get additional compensation for dependents outside of their direct children? And how does that process work?
Yeah. So what it is again, obviously dependency could range from a wide spectrum, right? But again, typical families or what family structures are considered. So with it being considered, you have to understand that the VA will go ahead and accept children such as biological, adopted children, stepchildren, things of that nature, right? And also obviously being with the spouse. But also when we're talking about parents can also be added as a dependent onto your claim. All right. Because again, at the end of the day, if you're taking care and they're a dependent, you can be able to add your parent onto your award. All right. So obviously, with that, it's a little bit more in depth, right? So they ask you a little bit more questions. They'll go ahead and provide you with a different form from the 2168C that they would normally give you. But this one here is I believe a 21509. This here is basically claiming parent dependency.
Absolutely. No, that's great. That's great. And this is why, man, if you haven't done so already with Veterans for Veterans, definitely reach out for a consultation, right? Because you have more of these different type of specific questions, Kenneth and his staff is more than happy to kind of help you answer those questions and really understand your unique situation. Because as I'd imagine, every veteran is going to have some different factors with their circumstances.
For sure, for sure. Everything is every military service isn't the same. So we're always trying to make sure that we customize a developmental action plan to get everybody their benefits that they deserve.
Absolutely. So yeah, you can link down to Veterans for Veterans below. Thank you for watching this segment, and talk to you guys soon. We out. Peace.
All right. All right. Welcome back to the Prepare to Compete podcast. Just preparing everybody for this wonderful 2023. With that being said, I want to go ahead and just check the temperature out there. Mr. Jones, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's sort of cold here in Las Vegas this winter, but we getting through it.
Nice, nice. Listen, hey, well, hopefully we turn around and heat that up. Obviously, Vegas is a desert, and let's go ahead and heat it up like the real estate market potentially.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's a lot of great things going on with the real estate market here in Las Vegas for sure, man. And I wanted to touch on that. Of course, we're going to cover some things about veterans, but definitely want to cover real estate market in general and how it's kind of impacted everybody and how it actually can be a real beneficial time for veterans right now because there's so much inventory here in Las Vegas. Okay. So
Mm,
there's over 10,000 homes on the housing market, and sellers are actually decreasing their prices. I'm working with some individuals right now and some buyers, and I'm seeing a lot of price decreases, and they're able to take advantage of that. And sellers are kind of softening up, man, and starting to pay some closing costs because
mm.
if you had your home on the market in winter, you're typically really serious about selling and moving that property. So you got to get with the day and times of this market. And it's like a lot of people wanted to be a stickler and, like, oh, well, I could have got X amount 6 months ago. And the market is totally different now, man. It's really transitioned into a buyer's market. And we really want to talk to you guys today about some ways our veterans could actually take advantage of that market.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. I think that's incredible. Definitely with obviously the zero down, and also it's kind of switching over where sellers are providing closing costs. So that's great information. Have you had any current sellers or veterans that actually happened to?
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I have had that happen for some individuals where they're actually able to get $15,000
Mm.
for the closing costs, which they're able to utilize some of those funds directly towards the closing costs that they had, and some other of that funds to actually buy down the interest rate, right? Because the
Oh
interest
wow.
rate right now, depending on your credit score and the program, is in the 7% range. So they're able to utilize those funds to buy down that interest rate and have a little bit more of a comfortable monthly payment.
You see, that's some really good information. Listen, it's the power of negotiation, right? It's about your agent. Make sure you got a proper agent. Make sure you got a proper agent out there. Mr. Jones said definitely navigating that situation very well.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So yeah, man, with our veterans though, yeah, we definitely want to get them, and there's a lot of benefits right now in this current market for the veterans. Again,
Hmm.
especially if you're able to get the sellers to pay closing costs, right, and the fact that using your VA loan, you don't actually have to have a down payment for that home purchase, which is a phenomenal option and probably the number one reason for veterans to really utilize that VA loan and how that VA loan is really unmatched because of that. So, and I
Yeah.
literally have a series of reasons, right, that the VA loan is good, but definitely that zero down payment in this type of market is phenomenal because now if the veteran actually had some funds saved for a down payment, now they could utilize that to even buy down that interest rate even lower or put those funds on the purchase price of the home or even just save that for some renovation expenses and doing some remodeling and some things like that to improve the property and the future value of the property. So, giving a lot of flexibility there for sure.
Can you give me like a average? How much does it cost to kind of sometimes buy down interest rates, or is it like just as subjective?
Yeah, so different lenders are going to charge different prices to buy down the interest rate. Uh, from what I'm seeing, working with some of my buyers right now, it's getting less expensive than it was before, right? Because
Mm.
lenders are understanding the rates are kind of getting ridiculous to a lot of buyers out there, man. So they're definitely getting a little less expensive on that.
Hmm.
I would say for sure. So I'm seeing if you're looking, and I actually don't want to quote too many lenders' prices because I might be getting some special rates for my clients. So I don't want to put too much out there, but I would definitely say when I was helping clients a year ago and they were trying to buy down from, which is actually even crazy to think about this, they were trying to buy down from 3.5% to 3%. What they were paying back then to do that a year ago versus trying to buy down from 7% to 6%, it's a lot more affordable to do so.
Got it, got it. Yeah, man. Listen, say that proprietary information. Can't Hey, the secrets to the sauce. Got to keep that tucked.
Yeah, gotta keep it tucked. Gotta keep it tucked. But for sure, man, and definitely, and just letting our veterans know too that with their VA loan, they can really take advantage of the fact that they don't have to pay mortgage insurance on their properties, which is going to be very helpful for them, as well as that our veterans could actually get into homes a lot easier than your normal conventional loan programs, and
Hmm.
in some regards, a little bit easier than the FHA government program as well. So again, that flexibility of requirements, and also with veteran programs, they're going to have some competitive interest rates as we're talking about the interest rates,
Hmm.
and then the fact of like some closing costs for our veterans, right? So one thing that I've learned when I was doing when I first started doing loans for veterans is that they don't play about adding junk fees for veterans. Like they really look into that, and it's like you trying to charge
Yeah.
veterans the extra broker fee and this and that. It's like they don't allow veterans to pay those fees a lot of times, man. And you're able to save money with the low closing costs. And one point of the closing costs that I really want to emphasize is that there is a VA funding fee added to your loan, which you're sometimes, if you have the funds, you could of course pay that as your closing costs, but a lot of times our veterans are adding that to the total loan amount. Okay, so if it's your first time purchasing, that's going to be 2.3% of the purchase price. So
Mhm.
that's a pretty substantial amount,
That's
going
crazy.
towards that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, John.
Absolutely. So yeah, so what we want to know is that
Mhm.
one benefit that from working with veterans with your company, Veterans for Veterans, is that you can actually get that funding fee waived, right? How do you do that? Is that you want to have at least 10% service connection disability, right? So if you have at least 10% service connected disability, you do not ever have to pay a funding fee, which is very important because that funding fee goes up. It's only 2.3% when you're purchasing your first home. It actually goes up for every subsequent purchase as well. So again, but being service connected, you never have to worry about that. And if you work with a company like Veterans for Veterans, they can find 10% for you with behind your ears, which literally hearing loss and tinnitus, right? So that's one that you could definitely look into. And a lot of veterans suffer from that ailment, unfortunately, and you can literally just because of that you're able to possibly get 10%. Definitely reach out to Veterans for Veterans so they can help you with these different service connection claims, right? And now with it being so many homes on the market, if you're a
Mhm.
veteran trying to sell a home, a good key right now is that understanding that your VA loan is assumable, right? Which is a huge key when we're talking about and when we're getting to different elements of creative finance, and you hear people talking about all these ambiguous type of topics. It's like, what are they
Mhm.
talking about? Well, this is one of the things they talking about when they talking about creative finance, right? So actually, if you're a veteran trying to sell your home, you could make that loan assumable. It's typically easier if you're working with another veteran, but there's some different ways to structure that. But if you're willing to work that out with your realtor and include that in the contract, you're able to offer that veteran a more favorable interest rate, and it
Mhm.
might allow you to get your property sold a lot faster. Okay,
So hold
so
on, hold on. Can you give me understanding what is a assumable VA home loan? I don't necessarily
absolutely,
understand.
for sure. So now, yeah, with an assumable loan, so let's say you bought your property 2 years ago, right? So you bought your
Hmm.
property a couple years ago. Well, now we're in a whole nother year. Let's say you bought it in 2019, and now you're looking to get a bigger, better property, move, or you just relocating or whatever the case, and you're selling that property. Let's say you
Hmm.
bought the property for 400,000. But now you paid it down a little bit, and you've done that, and now you only owe 350,000 on that loan. Okay, so you can, let's say your property is still valued at 500,000 is what you want to sell it for. You could work out with that veteran where they assume your current loan of 350,000. Now, working out the difference of the price that you're charging is going to be totally up to you on how the veteran is going to, how the person that qualifying for that purchase is going to pay for that. Some people might have an extra 150,000 cash laying around. They was going to put down on the property, right, and give it to you that way.
Uh,
Other people might use like a second loan option to get the funds for that amount. Now, the benefit of that is that your loan, because you got that in 2019, right, might be 3.5%. So, and that's going to be a bulk of their loan, right? So they're going to have a loan for 350,000 for 3.5%. Then all they have to do is with that difference, it might be at a higher interest rate of 6% or so, but that's more feasible for them to do that than to have an entire $500,000 loan at 6% or 7%, doing it that way.
true indeed. That's there we go. Creative finance. You got to get in how you can. But let me ask you. So it must be veteran to veteran, right?
Now, the thing about that is that it works very favorably if it's veteran to veteran. However, you can do it to a non-veteran. However, the caveat with that is that they're taking over your eligibility, right? So if you were trying to purchase
Mm.
another home and you needed your whole eligibility to do so, then you wouldn't have it. So,
So but before you continue, so basically, if as a veteran, they will be assuming that loan, but then they're taking my eligibility where I cannot purchase another home, correct?
exactly,
Under the VA loan. Under the VA
under
loan.
the VA loan. They're
Okay.
taking a percentage of your eligibility to purchase another home under a VA loan.
Okay.
So you might be in a situation where you might not need to purchase another home under a VA loan, and you can pass it to a non-veteran. So if you were looking to do it that way, but if you're doing it veteran for veteran, then it would go under the new veterans eligibility, and that's the cleanest way to do it. Makes it a lot more risky if you're transferring it to a non-veteran.
Understood. Understood. Man, that was great news, man. Listen, I personally, I'm a veteran myself, and I did not have any information on assumable loans, the VA being able to assume loans. So hopefully, potentially, I can assume a loan or two. But if I could go ahead and partner with you, we'll see how we can work that out. But in other news, but I really appreciate all that information. At the end of the day, listen, we're here to service the community. Any veterans, any non-veterans, give us opportunity to be able to put you in the home that you desire. Obviously, Mr. Jones here is going to have the link below and the information below. Please reach out to us if you have any questions on any type of not only assumable loans or any other real estate questions or home loan questions that we could be able to provide.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for watching the segment. We out. Peace.
All right, thank you for tuning in to Prepare to Compete podcast, where we're just trying to provide information out here to the veteran community, and not only the veteran community, any attachment other community that we want to service in regards to real estate, veterans benefits, education benefits, anything that we can be able to provide you. At the end of the day, we want to get you educated to the point of utilization of any benefit that's offered to you. But with that being said, Mr. Jones, how you doing today, sir?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Keeping up with it all, man. Keeping up with it all.
There we go. Staying in tune, baby. Staying in tune. But yeah, man, I definitely wanted to, dive into a few questions, man. I just wanted to kick off this year the right way. Obviously, 2023, we have some goals that we need to reach, right? I know there's goals that everyone kind of has their list coming into 2023. But with that being said, coming around, trying to purchase a new property, I had some questions. I had some other friends that had some questions who are veterans, and we're trying to figure out how can we actually purchase a home in the sense utilizing the VA home loan, but also is there any limit that I can go above? Because I have some buddies that are pretty well off, and
Hmm.
I need to know if we can get a property here.
Absolutely, man. I know because the San Diego market is crazy, and it could be well over $1 million, especially for some of the properties that you guys may want to purchase. Man, it's getting up there.
Yeah, you don't have to beat around the bush. Yeah, $1 million for a shack. It's okay. It's getting a little New Yorkish, but it's okay. We're working through it.
Absolutely. Yeah, but you know what? They've actually done some good things, man, as far as loan limits in general has increased, right? So there are some conforming loan limits that if you're using a conventional loan products, there are some different loan limits if you're using FHA loan, which is a standard government backed loan. Actually, in 2020, the VA loan actually got rid of their loan limits, right? So for you guys being veterans and the service that you guys provided to our great country, the sky is the limit in your purchase.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
So yeah, you can purchase a home for whatever amount. Because I know before, if you're looking at some loan limits, you're looking at like some counties. It actually depends on the county, not even just the city, but it's even just divided up into different counties. When they do loan limits, you're looking at like, oh, 750,000. It's like, well, what am I gonna give for 750,000? $1 million is already a shack, right? So but yeah, luckily you guys don't have to worry about that, man. There's no
Mhm.
limits on the VA loan. And then if you're a non-veteran or if you, for whatever reason, a veteran and didn't want to use a VA loan, they do have some non-conforming loans where you can go above those initial conforming loan limits, which is called a jumbo loan. So now when you go
Mm.
into jumbo loan category, it gets a bit different with the interest rates and the terms. So you kind of have to be careful when you're doing that. But if you are looking at homes that come in a jumbo loan category, you probably don't really care too much about the interest rate because you are rolling in the dough.
So basically, it get a little pricey. Let's
It,
let's get the people what they need. It get a little pricey, huh?
it get a little pricey, man. It get a little pricey with the interest rates
All right.
and that type of market, man. So you definitely want to be aware of that and try to put more down payment down because that's something that you can do, right, to keep that loan amount down. If if you're buying a $1.5 million house, maybe put down 500,000. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know how people get
Ooh.
it in that range, man. I'm
Yeah.
not fortunate enough to be looking at multi-million-dollar houses, so I don't know.
Well, we gotta put a lot of more YouTube videos up to get.
Absolutely. They gotta they gotta raise how much money they pay us for the clicks and everything like that. We need to get some sponsorships. Somebody Nike come sponsor the shirt. Do a lot of things. I like golf. Can I get a Nike golf sponsorship and
Hey,
different things
Adidas.
like
Hey,
that?
hey,
Oh,
hey. Yeah,
my
y'all just
man.
dropped Yay.
Yeah,
I'm
look,
open.
veterans got the Adidas sponsorship going, man. We need a lot of that, man. We need that.
But let me ask you. I know, understand. So basically, you told me that obviously there's no loan limits when utilizing the VA loan, right? So though there's no loan limits, you know, we have investors, a lot of investors in the veteran community. I know, particularly one of my buddies, he's actually trying. I'm going to always provide education and information, the right information. No scuttlebutt talk, no mess deck talk. We don't want to do that. So if he's trying to purchase a second home or secondary home, he still has no loan limits.
Man, that's a great, wonderful question, man. That's a great, wonderful question. Now, if you're trying to purchase a second home using your VA loan, and you do have you still own your first home, right? You converted that into a rental. Trying to purchase a second home, if you kept that first loan under a VA loan, you would have loan limits for that next property, because it's going to go off of your eligibility, which kind of sort of got thrown out of the window because the eligibility used to kind of go around with your loan limit, right? But now
Mhm.
it's only being calculated when you have multiple properties. So at that point, you're going to have to look at what the loan is on that first property, and then actually see what that certificate of eligibility is, and then
Mhm.
go ahead and you can see what you can qualify for that loan amount. Now, for
Got
most cases, right? For most cases for people, you might just want to refinance that first property to a conventional loan so that you can get your full eligibility for that next property. Because most likely you moving on up like the Jeffersons or something, right? So that property is going to cost more than the first, more than likely. So you want to have utilization of that entire VA loan.
Yeah, because I know a lot of active duty members, man, and particularly 2 to 3 years, they're out. I'm sorry, 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, they're moving on. So a lot of them, they either sell the property, refinance the property, or so on and so forth. Over accumulation of a few duty stations, you can definitely accumulate a few homes in different states and different areas. But you did talk about obviously the eligibility going to purchase in another state. It depends on obviously that county. So you would have to look into that entitlement when you purchase a secondary home, right, for the loan limits.
Correct. Yeah, for the loan limit. So,
Okay.
and again, if you're doing that, man, I would just tell you to the best key is just to refinance that first loan out of that VA loan if you were going to need that whole entire eligibility of the loan, the VA loan for that upgraded property. And a lot of individuals do this, veterans and non-veterans, is kind of called house hacking, right? Where you're living in
Mhm.
a property couple years and then going ahead and buying another property that's going to be owner occupied, and you could accumulate a lot of properties that way, and it's a way to build wealth. So you
Gotcha.
have a couple options. Definitely talk to your real estate professionals, and we'll really see what the best option for your individual situation is going to be, especially with interest rates being more. You may not want to refinance that first loan to a conventional, and you might want to take advantage of trying to see if you can be eligible using both properties. If
Hmm.
you need some additional down payment for that second property, because you don't have the total eligibility, you might be able to take out some cash from that first home, right? In the
Hmm.
home of the equity line of credit, or it's a lot of different nuanced things that you can do to get creative to make this work for you, man. So for our veterans, definitely want to talk to you about the individual situation to see which strategy is going to be best.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Well, thank you for that, man. Listen, you educated me in the loan limits, man. I definitely needed some help in that. Hopefully, I previously watched the last video, provided that great information of assumable loans. So hopefully, I'm gonna be able to assume one rather than outright purchasing. But
Absolutely.
yeah, man, I appreciate that, man. And I know the people do as well. With that being said, man, we're out. Listen, Mr. Jones, please go ahead and get the people what they deserve.
Absolutely, man. We'll do that, man. Thank you guys for watching. Staying in tune with us, man. We really whipping up some great content for you. And, leave down in the comments, man, any kind of particular questions you have or any type of videos and topics you would like for us to cover, whether it's regarding the real estate, the disability benefits for veterans, and just a lot of topics in relation to veteran services and real estate in general, and just really just building wealth, right? Because we're definitely some competent professionals, and we're willing to kind of help our community out as much as possible, and in any way we can add some value. So definitely send those ideas, topics, and questions to us, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Peace and love. You guys have a happy 2023.
Have a happy 2023. Get out there, prepare to compete. We out. Peace.